Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another vlog. Now, I know it's been a minute since I've just done a real good catch-up Nick Chae vlog. I feel like over the past month, there's just been so much going on. And to be honest, I haven't really been prioritizing making these YouTube videos, getting back to my community, and also just sharing a couple updates throughout my past month living here in LA. Today is Saturday, the start of the weekend. It's a gorgeous day outside. And I figured I'd just bring you guys along with me as we catch up like we're on FaceTime. And well, first things first, we gotta check in on the boy. Come on. Now, long story short, as you guys know, Louis was pretty much living at my mom's house back in Dallas. But given the fact that my mom is now traveling a lot more between Korea and back home, and my brother Justin just got a job over in Atlanta, it basically meant that there really wasn't anyone back home who could watch Louis. So unfortunately, but also fortunately, the burden has came to me. I flew all the way back home to Dallas just to pick him up and bring him back here to LA. And let me tell you, that trip was quite the hassle. I literally wasn't allowed to board my first flight because they said he was too big and wouldn't fit in the carrier. And after losing $400 on that first ticket, I literally had to book another ticket with a different airlines, all so we could get this little dog here to LA. But I've got to say, just having someone else here that I can just spend my time with makes me feel not so alone. You know, obviously living in LA by myself can get pretty isolating, but just having my little buddy here with me forces me to get outside, stay active, and obviously just give myself a little bit of a distraction from work and school. So everyone, you will be seeing a lot more of the man on the channel here. All right, now like I said, today is Saturday. This is pretty much when I like to just do a little bit of a catch up, not only just reset from the past week and clean up, but also just take this time to set myself up for success for the following week. So today we have a couple of items on the agenda. Obviously during the week, I'm pretty packed with school and work, so it doesn't really give me time to knock out these errands and different tasks that I have to get done around the house. But first, well, I need to fix this desk setup, y'all. There's just a couple modifications that I need to make to really streamline my entire process, and let me show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so as you guys know, I've been rocking a dual monitor setup, but I recently just got these desk perches, is what they're called, from the same people over at Branch. But basically I can just mount my speakers here and they look super sick. But the problem is, it's just not very streamlined for me to obviously hear my music behind the speaker. So I just gotta figure out something to do with this. And then obviously I got things like my lights and mic. So just really trying to figure out a way for me to streamline this entire desk setup so that it's easy for me to just plug in, play, and get to work. But let's get this thing started, y'all. All right, we made a little bit of progress. So now I have my speakers at the right angle. It's not blocked by the monitors. And once again, these are the desk purchased from the people over at Branch. I'll link it in the description down below. But now it's time to get all these cables organized. The worst part about setting up a desk. All right, after quite literally probably an hour or so, I've got all these cables managed, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most effective setup, but it works for now. Basically, just kind of have everything routing like that. I'm sure I'll come up with a proper solution at some point, but for now, it gets the job done. Well, the desk setup is officially cleaned up and proper. It really is the best way for me to just get into my best flow state. I'm not worried about distractions like cables, and making sure that my workspace is clutter-free is probably one of the best ways for me to just stay focused and get into that flow state. But once again, like I said, the weekends are really where I try and just kind of reset my space if there's any organization things that I need to do. And I'm not gonna lie, this whole setup right here, as great as it looks, it's just a little too cluttered. Now, I've been very fortunate to work with some really dope brands to get a lot of cool stuff around the apartment, and to be honest, I think I've miscalculated just how much stuff I can actually fit inside this one bedroom. Obviously, things like these lamps are super dope and they would look amazing in a little bit bigger space, but right now we just gotta figure out some ways to make this thing look a little bit better. Also, I don't know if you guys know, but I am not the best plant dad, and now that I have like 4 different plants in this house, it's becoming a lot just keeping track of watering these things. Now, I'm not gonna lie, if there's one thing that I have been trying to prioritize this year, it's really trying to cook my meals at home and realizing that you don't have to go out and spend $20, $30 every single meal. And you can really just make simple stuff at home that's super easy to cook, and obviously going to places like Trader Joe's and Targets and getting your groceries to stock up on those essentials that you know you're gonna be able to cook easily. Spending money on DoorDash or Uber Eats, that easily adds up, and you're gonna be spending hundreds of dollars on food that really just isn't even that great for you. So just making some simple food at home is really the best way, and making sure that you're getting the right nutrients. But let's scarf this down because I'm starving. But the good thing is I always have a lunch buddy. Yummy, Lloyd? Lloyd? Alright, right now it is about 4 o'clock. I figured I'd try and get some errands done before the sun is down. Like I said, I need to wash my car. It has been pressing on me for the past week, but I have been sent over a couple new products to help me film, and let's check these out. Alright, the people over at Telson have hooked us up with a couple of new accessories. First up is going to be what is known as a magic arm. I'm sure you guys have seen them popping all over social media, but this one is just a little bit more of a compact version, and honestly just seems like it's going to be able to hold a lot more weight. So excited to check this one out. Now, once again, you guys have probably seen this all over social media. Oh, this is sick. I'm an idiot. Boom. Wait for it. Oh, this is about to be crazy. Voila. Honestly. So once again, just a really dope way to get a POV shot, even though I'm going to look like a fool wearing this. Once again, a 3-arm suction mount for your car. Obviously, I'm going to be running a lot of errands, driving around, so being able to have a mount in my car is super convenient, and obviously allows you to get a lot more cool shots. Man, this thing, we're not messing around. So you have your basic 3-legged suction mount, and then lastly, just attach the ball head on top, or you can even attach your GoPro, or maybe even my Osmo. Oh, this might be a crazy shot. Well, we have officially made it home, and let's do a little bit of unboxing for what is probably the most aesthetic rice cooker I've ever seen. Wait for it. Literally, if Apple made a rice cooker, it'd probably look something like this. Is that not so satisfying? Now, to be honest, I've basically just been buying the instant rice packs, but you start to realize how expensive that gets when it starts adding up. So investing in something like a rice cooker is just gonna help allow me to meal prep. All right, filling up my 2 rice containers was probably the most Asian thing I've done, but I'm pretty proud of this. Now it's time to make some rice. All right, now we wait. All right, now like I said, this is gonna be more of a catch-up vlog. I feel like there's just been so much going on the past week that I really haven't been able to update you guys on. I'm gonna say I've officially finished my first week of classes here at USC. And man, it has been just a whirlwind of an experience, but something that I'm so excited for. Every single day, I'm literally taking classes on editing, directing, cinematography, producing. It's honestly just crazy how much of my course curriculum are things that I'm interested in compared to econometrics, macro, micro econ. Classes that I really just had no care about, was really just doing the work to get by, versus now where I'm actually in a class where I'm learning things that I can literally apply not only to my future content, but also my career. These are really lifelong skills for me to grow as a director, as a cinematographer, as a producer, as an editor. Having to learn all these new softwares and programs that are industry standards are really just giving me the skills and tool sets that I need to succeed in the real world. And the fact that this is going to be my course curriculum for the next 3 years is, one, going to be a lot of work, but two, just very exciting given the fact that I already know so much, but there's so much more that I have to learn and expand on. And most importantly, just being surrounded by so many talented peers and classmates, people who I'm going to be collaborating with on these projects. You know, I hear so many of my professors talk about how they landed so many of their first jobs through people that they met here at USC. So being able to just make so many great connections right off the bat is truly inspiring and really just motivates me to just be friendly and get out of my comfort zone and talk to people, because as comfortable as I may seem on camera, I'm actually a pretty introverted person in real life. And lastly, I think just being here in LA, there's something so surreal about just driving around, seeing palm trees everywhere, seeing the Hollywood sign, Griffith Observatory, all these iconic landmarks that you constantly see in movies. I'm literally seeing on my drive home or my drive to school. And I think a month after living here, it's really just now hitting that I really am out here in Los Angeles, of all places. You know, I always knew I would end up here at some point, but being here at 25, being in a master's graduate program, and also just being in LA during a time where obviously we're going through so much tragedy and crisis right now, but seeing how we're going to be able to rebuild and also be a part of that change is super inspiring, and really gives me that motivation and inspiration to soak in the city as much as I can while I'm still here, because trust me, as you guys know from my time in New York, it really does fly by faster than you think. And there's so many times where I wish I had done more, been outside and explored more places while I was still living in that city. So really trying not to take things for granted while I'm here. But that's enough rambling for today. I hope you guys enjoyed catching up with me, hearing a little bit more about my life updates. And well, now that the apartment is pretty much brand new and looking clean, let me give you guys a little bit of a tour. All right, so obviously you guys have seen the living room, but we have our new addition, Mr. Louis. This is pretty much his spot right here. He likes to lay here anytime I'm at school. And obviously our kitchen area, which is coming along pretty nicely. We got the nice new rice cooker right there. Just a little media console slash bookcase for random things. Most of it's going to be things like a fan, aroma diffuser, candles, random accessories, as well as our projector and PS5 right there. This All right, for the time being, I think this is gonna be the best spot. The living room is pretty much the same as you guys have seen. We switched this up a little bit, made a little bit more room right here. Obviously added the blonde poster right there. And lastly is going to be our desk setup. It just looks a lot more clean and simple with these elevated speakers. I'm glad I rerouted a couple of these mics and the lights. And man, I've got to say this setup, it's looking absolutely fire, y'all. And then lastly is going to be our record station over here. You guys have probably seen this in a couple of videos, but all these lights do turn on. Not the dual, as well as that LED light, which is hidden back here. Boom. Alexa, turn on standing lamp top. Alexa, turn on standing lamp bottom. A little bit complicated, but we'll figure that one out. And then lastly, as you guys can see, all these gallery lights, which look super dope, are easily controlled with boom. So sick. Perfect for setting any sort of vibe. But folks, that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed just this little bit of a catch-up vlog from me and the boy. Let him know. What? What's that? Oh, you're right. He said, make sure to drop a comment. Let me know what other types of videos you guys want to see. And as always, folks, don't stress, finesse. Wait, you gotta say it. Peace, y'all. Give the camera kiss. Give the camera kiss. Peace, y'all.